In today's episode of Fuck Yeah Industrial, we are getting into the track.execute. Last time we did drums, today we're going to do guitars, and yeah, that's what it's going to be. This is off our latest album, Darkness Rise. This is your world. Okay, we're getting into the guitars of .execute. And let's see here. Just gonna have a quick listen to some of the guitar. Well, we're gonna listen to a piece of .execute where there's guitars in it, and then I'll show you what I did with the guitars. This is your world, and you can do whatever you want to. Time is slipping away. Time is slipping away. So, for the guitars, they are a little difficult to hear in this song because I did use samples for the guitars. This time around, this album, predominantly most of the guitar tracks on Darkness Rise are samples. So because my guitar decided to die, and I was in the beginning stages of doing the time challenge for this album, and I didn't want to wait for, you know, a couple of weeks to get a fucking guitar or whatever, and then my time challenge is all off and all that kind of stuff. So I use samples. Some of them were royalty-free stuff, Creative Commons stuff, and some of them were actually samples I used from my own guitar sample collection that I had created myself many years ago. And yeah, so as you can see here, there's the mixer here and the playlist here. And so for the guitars, I did use samples and for this song, and basically what I did was the samples were pretty much already distorted, but I wanted to kind of make them my own, so what I did was I fucking distorted them again. So there's 3 guitar tracks in here. One of them is kind of a pulsing sound, and basically this was just a sample I used. Let me just see here. Well, they're all samples. This is the guitar pulse sound. I think that was one of my own samples. I can't quite remember, but let's just turn that off. I'm pretty sure that's something that I created on my own. The next guitar is, okay, it's this. So that sample, it originally sounded like, this is the original sound, the original sample. And I used an EQ and the Fruity Blood Overdrive. And the EQ, this is with the EQ on, actually that was the second stage, so this is the Blood Overdrive. I did use a preset, I do believe. So that's what it sounds like with the Overdrive. And the EQ, let's just go into the Overdrive here. So I'm pretty sure I used a preset here. It doesn't tell you on the it doesn't tell you in the preset here, but I'm pretty sure I used some kind of preset. I'm not entirely sure which preset I used. I'm sure it was a drive of some kind, and these are the settings. Yeah, that's just what it is. I didn't adjust these. I just clicked a preset and chose what sounded best, and then the EQ. I took out most of the low end and the really fucking high end, where the treble and all that kind of sits, and that's. And that is the second guitar in this track. The third guitar, let's see here, sounds like. So it's basically some kind of chord. I'm not even entirely sure, because I think these samples I did pitch shift down so it had a lower, chunkier sound to it. Once again, this guitar I used the Blood Overdrive. I think I used the same preset, to be honest. Yeah, it's the same. Yep, I didn't even adjust anything in here. Nothing in the pre-band color, preamp, nothing like that. It's the same preset. And then I used an EQ. Oh shit! Sorry, wrong fucking thing here. Yeah, just a sec. Yeah, okay. I used an EQ. Same kind of parameters as far as this EQ goes. You know, I took out the low end and the treble and the high end, and boosted a little bit in the 294 hertz range, and this is boosted a little bit in the 1300 hertz range, and yeah, that's just kind of what it is. And I did that because it sounded good to me, and that's kind of why I did it. I also kind of wanted it to fit in the mix as well, so fit the mix a certain way so that it just sits nicely. And I also used an exciter because I wanted to bring out some of the higher end in the just a sec. Let's just take all these effects off, and you can hear the original sample. So that's what it sounded like originally. And then with the Blood Overdrive, it sounds like this. And then with the parametric EQ, it sounds like this. I think, if I remember correctly, I took the low end out of both of these guitars because I wanted the bass, the synthesized bass sound that I use for the bass line in this to stand out. And then finally, I added for this guitar, I added the La Petite Excite. It's freeware effects VST. It's basically an exciter, or yeah, basically an exciter which will boost certain frequencies to make the sound stand out a little bit. So we'll add that, and so let's just take this off and listen. So it's just adding a little bit more crispness to the sound, and it just gives it a little bit more of a pronounced, it sits a little bit in the mix, a little bit more pronounced, even though you can't, you know, even though it's, you know, kind of noisy, white noise-ish. Yeah, that is all the guitars in this track. Let's just hear this again with everything in. And this is your world, and you can do whatever you want to. Time is slipping away. Start execute, start execute, start execute. The world changes. When you get into the process of writing an industrial album or any album, whatever fucking genre you're doing, I think it's important to, you know, the process is important. Like, you know, how you go about in creating your sounds, or manipulating the sounds you have, or manipulating samples, or doing your sound design, or your synth patches and all that stuff. It's important, but I think it's also important to remember that, you know, you want to have fun. You know, you don't want to take it too seriously, and I think if you focus too much on the process, you'll get stuck there. And I think it's important to, you know, set goals and kind of have a focus for where you want to take your music, where you want to take your track, your single, your EP, your album, whatever it is, and you know, have a goal, and, you know, have a goal for the sound design, have a goal, you know, just have a focus, because, as I said, if you get too caught up in the process, quite frankly, nothing will get done. And yeah, so the process is important, but it is also important to have fun. It's also important to set goals so you can move through that process and you know, finish whatever you're trying to do. So that's it for this video. This was the .execute guitars. I hope you folks enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like. If you have any questions or comments regarding the guitars on .execute, or any other aspect of this particular song, or fuck any other song off of this album, you know, leave them in the comment section. And if you find that this video has value, please share it. And if you find this channel has value, please subscribe and hit that bell button to be notified when the next video comes out. So see you in the next video.